amazing Vice President Mike Pence and his wonderful wife, Karen.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. Butthole! And I'm all out of bubblegum.
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
Stay classy, San Diego.
I love lamb.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capita. It's just like per capita relative to what?
That was really cool, by the way.
Every minute you don't tell us why you're here, I cut off a finger.
Mine or yours?
Yours.
Damn.
Shop smart, shop S-Mart.
Somewhere. That's me. That's me coming on screen. Hi, how are you? And then, let's see the other. There you go. And smooth. That was getting better. I mean, for a one-man show. I'm just saying. Hi, hey everybody. How are you? Hello, welcome. We're gonna start today with some Biden, just as a palate cleanser, an aperitif, a slight reminder of what it's like to have a functioning palate at all. You know, some sort of basic standard by which you can go, oh, that tastes, that's good. Now I remember why I think other things taste like crap. Yeah, exactly, Frankie, you're on to me. Because was I the only one who like quickly spotted that one? Everybody else seemed to like miss that one, and even Chris Titus was like, really? Did he really? I'm like, yeah, really. Yeah, he really. Oh, Trump's out of hiding. He had his black friend gathering yesterday, where he had like a black pastor, a black, I guess, blogger, interviewer kind of dude, and Ben Carson and like two other people, and he was like, we've been friends since you've been doing things for me, or being the face of a certain type of conservatism that always gets a racist rap, so I'd rather you be the shield out in front of it. Hi, Heidi, I remember you. How much for that glow-in-the-dark Hal Sparks shirt? It's not a shirt, it's just, I wish we had one that cool. I'm gonna work on it. Yeah, he's in Dallas right now. By the way, I'd like to show everybody the. Let's go to the public schedule for the day that Trump has. It's a piece of work. Yesterday was my favorite, I think, in a little while. He got 2 intelligence briefings in a row, 11:45 and 12:30. Apparently, there was a diaper change in the middle. Is that what happened? Or they just have to do it twice? Like he walks out and like, well, like, Mr. President, it's time for your intelligence briefing, and then he walks out of it, going, "Where's my phone?" And they go, "Yeah, we'll get it to you in a minute. But Mr. President, it's time for your intelligence briefing." Oh, yeah, that sounds important. So he had 2, and then we had the lovely, adorable Kayleigh McEnany going full crucifix, and then he had this round table thingy at 4 o'clock that they threw on. That was after the fact, after we had already bailed out. I don't have a seascape behind me, but I'm glad to. Hey, Philly Dana. I feel like that just makes people upset, you know? So anyways, let's look at this. And this is a big schedule today. I always love how they make his schedule look full by putting all the like legs of the travel. President departs the White House en route to Joint Base Andrews. President arrives at Joint Base Andrews. President departs Washington, D.C. en route to Dallas, Texas. President arrives at Dallas Love Field Airport. President departs Dallas Love Field Airport en route to Gateway Church Dallas campus. The president arrives at Gateway Church Dallas campus. President participates in a roundtable on transition to greatness, restoring, rebuilding, and renewing. The president then departs there and goes to a private residence. Private residence, that's interesting. President arrives at a private residence. Unidentified home, comma, Dallas, comma, Texas. President delivers remarks at a joint fundraising committee dinner. Unidentified home, comma, Dallas, comma, Texas. Mike's clipping a bit. Oh, I might be a little hot. Oh, I am hot. Look at that. Too hot lady. Oh, I know why. I was recording a song earlier, and sometimes that messes with my audio. That's fun. Yeah, so we'll bring that down a touch. Hopefully that won't jack us up too much. We won't clip out. It's always hard to tell. I've got like 3 meters going at once. It's always nutty. Is that a little better? Hopefully that works. Always takes me about 2 minutes to figure out if it works, because that's how long the delay is between when I say something and when you guys go, no. So, yeah, he's in Highland Park. That's true. Let's see. Then the president, this is my favorite part of this. The president departs private residence en route to Dallas Love Field Airport. Unidentified home, comma, Dallas, comma, Texas. That makes total sense. 7:50 p.m. The president arrives at Dallas Love Field Airport. Unidentified home, comma, Dallas, comma, Texas. The president departs Dallas, Texas, en route to Newark, New Jersey. Unidentified home, comma, Dallas, comma, Texas. So we're just now flying. We're flying houses now. We have flying. We're just flying houses. Okay. Somebody's cutting and pasting over at the White House. Then he goes to departs Newark, New Jersey, en route to Bedminster, New Jersey. Oh, look at that. The president arrives at Bedminster Landing Zone at the Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster, otherwise known as landing at a private airport, if I'm not mistaken. If that's not the landing zone is some sort of, yeah. So he's going golfing starting tomorrow. Hey, Hal, where on his schedule is the Trumper tantrum about the market? Oh, I don't even think he mentions it. By the way, we will, by the end of today, hit 116,000 deaths. We've hit 115,000 and nobody batted an eye. Like, we're starting to blow through milestones like we did during the Afghanistan war and the Iraq war, but we're doing it, you know, after a while, after you hit 3,000 or 5,000, people just kind of, and it was depressing to watch that. But there was a good deal of time in between those. Oh, he takes the helicopter. That makes sense. There was a good deal of time as they started, the volume of deaths and the speed at which they came started to slow down. And so those milestones were more impactful, but they were further apart. These are just clicking over. Yeah. The death rate is 5.75%. It's nuts. And nobody's paying. Like they said yesterday, like 85% of the people believe in wearing masks and gloves out in public, and apparently I live around all 15%. Although I will say today, and it may have been the shift in the news from this, we got to get it open, everything's fine, to the numbers coming back, and even Fox News posting that, like, oh, damn, some of these red states are getting hit really hard, and they're going to get hit really hard. There was a story about how September is going to be god awful for a lot of states. And it's really scary for humans in general. But if you're Trump and Republicans, you have to understand all the spikes are going to be coming in areas that aren't prepared to handle it, haven't cared to do any mitigation, have been fighting mitigation all along, and almost exclusively vote Trump. It's nuts. So that in and of itself is depressing and scary. But we're looking at right now. We've cleared 2 million cases. We're at 115,900 deaths. There is by tonight, at least 100 of your fellow Americans will die from this virus, and that will click over to 116. And the majority of them will be more than likely old folks in red states and people with comorbidities, meaning diabetics and obese and morbidly obese people in red states, because they're not cutting their contagion at all. There's this, so it's kind of like hands across America. If you start taking somebody out of that hand across America in a large crowd of people, and you take 2 people out in a row, it doesn't skip to the next person, and hopefully it sort of dies off in that time. If there's a good 2-week period where that person who had it doesn't come in contact with other people it passes to, they pass it to, then the areas where it was blooming in in California and New York and Connecticut and Vermont, all the stuff where they've started worrying about it. Once they start taking a couple of the people out of the chain, when it starts to spread, even when people go out, because you're cleaning surfaces, people are wearing masks at the grocery store, the blue states are doing this stuff. And so they're removing the jump point for this virus in a lot of different places. In the red states, they're not removing any of them. They're building bridges for this virus to get across any moat it comes to. And so the mitigation is digging moats everywhere, and the red states are filling them in if they ever had them at all. So that part's really frightening. So we'll jump right in, but I want to go to this because I found this lovely. Let's back up to this.
From the moment he came down that escalator in his golden building, what did he start off saying? I'm going to see to it that we get rid of all those Mexican rapists. That was the first thing he talked about. Secondly, what did he do? He decided that he was going to pit us against one another based on race. When you saw those people in Charlottesville coming out of the fields carrying those torches, their veins, they're bulgy, and screeching that anti-Semitic hate and bile, using the same phrases used in Germany in the early 30s in Nazi Germany, accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. The Grand Wizard said, "This is why we elected him," okay, of the Ku Klux Klan. And then a young woman gets killed, and he gets asked to comment on it. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president in the history of the United States of America has ever said anything remotely like that. And so what I learned coming out of the movement much, much earlier as a kid is you think you can defeat hate. You can only make it hide. And when you give it oxygen, when a president speaks, no matter how good or bad he is, people listen. And when he speaks and gives credibility to these racist, watch my language, folks out there.
Hold on. The super chat made the noise over it. And the volume's good, right? I turned it up.
Watch my language.
Hold on. Let me back it up.
The president speaks, no matter how good or bad he is, people listen. And when he speaks and gives credibility to these racist, watch my language, folks out there, he breathes out, they come out from under the rocks. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it all across the country.
Yep. These racist fucks coming out from under the rocks. And I love him catching himself. But he can't, Raphael. Like, we can say it. I'm popping a little. Okay, I will bring it down. Bring it down, down, down a little bit. Bring it down, down. Hey. All right. Yeah. Should be better now. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah. So, smidge poppy. All right. I'll switch mics. Sometimes they get exhausted. Sometimes these little mics just get tired of my crap. Or it might be, yeah, I'm hot again. Too hot, lady. I'm very hot because it's very hot here. And then I've been, out in the sun. I did a grocery run today, gloved up, masked up, the whole business. It was a good time. Thank you. Excellent. It's hard for me to explain here. You can Google Periscope, Super Hearts, and it'll explain it. Yes. Feel free to Super Heart me on there. It helps us build up to the broadcast level on there. I don't know. Everybody's got their own standard. Twitch's seems to be the most, understood, and then the simplest, crayons and hammers version is YouTube. Get 5,000, then get 10,000, then you're allowed to do stuff. Yeah. So there we go. But we're growing, This is my fault. I blame me. I could have, during Lab Rats, I could have put a heck of a lot of time into building my YouTube channel. I just didn't take it that seriously. That was my part. Heh. Yeah. Where do I go to purchase one? Which one? Let's see. Oh, thanks, C2. So, all right, here we go. Apparently, and by the way, I keep getting an almost get a strike on this ridiculous campaign music they play for him every time. I think there should be a law that anytime he says he plays Lee Greenwood and finishes with the Rolling Stones, it's a campaign event, and that he should have to reimburse the American people for these trips. Oh, yes, it is Thor's Day. Absolutely, Carl Jacobson. Thanks very much. So, yeah, see, he does this whole... And we're skipping through the second verse.
Nice place. Wow.
Wow. Good, I like it.
I've been hearing about this one. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much for being here. It's an honor and very important time.
Where are we? He's at a round table. Do we know the exact location of this thing? I should have looked it up.
In our country, a lot of things are happening, and I think when it all ends up, it's going to end up very good for everybody.
When it all ends up. Yeah, so we're ending now. The country is ending. Good news. Great to hear it.
It's an honor to be at Gateway Church with the Attorney General, our great Attorney General, William Barr.
Why would he be at Gateway Church? A, he's Catholic. Rumor is Opus Dei, although I don't think they would have him. And isn't this an evangelical church? Maybe it's not.
And my friend Ben Carson, who's done a fantastic job at HUD, Secretary.
The one black guy in my administration who I put in charge of housing and urban development because the word urban was in it, and he thinks HUD is something that only pertains to black people. So find me somebody. I don't care if he's qualified or what job he does.
And a young star, Jerome Adams, General. Where is Jerome? Jerome?
Is it Jerome or Jérôme? Is he Belgian like my cousin Jérôme?
Along with a lot of my friends out in the audience, in fact, a lot of the great political leaders from Texas, I see. Some great, great friends, and I want to thank you all for being here, faith leaders.
So basically, you're just telling us they had to front load this crowd with sycophants and people who already like you because nobody else wants to come
Members
to your free event.
Law enforcement, so important. We want law and order. We have to have
Yeah, really? Okay, well then release the Mueller grand jury testimony.
a lot of good things, but we have to have law and order.
Oh, I'm too low now? That happens.
Got to have some strength. You have to have strength. You have to do what you have to do. And you look at Seattle. We just came in.
You look at Seattle.
Just see over the screen, and we've been hearing about it. Bill and I were talking about it. The law and order. Look at what happened in Seattle. They took over a city. A city.
City's not taken over. There's a section where they're doing basically an Occupy kind of thing to get stuff out of the local government. Yeah. Handle it. You're president. Address it. Talk them down. You're the deal maker. Let's see it.
Big city, Seattle. It's a chunk of it, a big chunk.
A chunk.
Can't happen. That couldn't happen.
You really want to? Really want to mention chunk right now? Lord love chunk.
Here, I don't think in the state of Texas, could it? I don't think so.
No, they just shoot people from a clock tower. I think that's the standard operating procedure, right? Or they walk up and just kill cops like Gavin Long. Nice job, TYT.
I don't think so. So I want to thank Pastors Robert Morris and Steve Dullen. They're great people. Great people with a great reputation, I have to say that.
Do you have to say it because you don't know? Or is it on the... Yeah, I have to say it. It's on the paper.
Reputation. And Gateway Church, the team has been incredible in hosting us. And I'd now like to ask Pastor Morris and Bishop...
I'd like to ask Pastor Mustard to pass the ketchup and tell us a little bit about this place because I don't do Bible stuff.
Jackson to lead us in prayer. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Lord, we need you. We need you at this time in our country.
It's a very strange prayer. It sounds very familiar.
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
Amen.
I thank you for our president. I thank you, Lord, for our leaders. I thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is great. You're doing a great job.
I know in the Bible that when something was emphasized, it was repeated. Holy.
When something was emphasized, it was repeated. Yeah. You know all those times they, like, doesn't every book in the Bible have a copy of the Ten Commandments in it?
Holy, holy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lord, that we are about to bring tremendous progress to a problem that's been here for a long time. And I thank you for this administration. And Lord, we pray your blessings, your guidance today on this meeting.
I don't know why this guy is not having the prayer at all. Like, he's just giving him the stink eye. Like, Trump's having a nap. But this guy just went, mm-hmm.
In Jesus' name.
Jesus' name.
Didn't keep his head down. Arms crossed.
Father, we thank you so much.
Oh, it's his turn, I see.
For what you're doing today. You have revealed so many things that are untoward, even evil. But we ask, according to Isaiah 50, verse 4, that you would give us the tongue of the learned, that we should know how to speak to the heart of this nation. Give us a word in season to him that's weary, and waken us morning by morning, God, that we would hear and speak. We have a great, courageous president who's a problem solver.
Citation needed.
And let him speak as your mouthpiece and act as your instrument. And we thank you for this time.
Oh my God, Trump's gonna think now he's been sent by God.
Amen.
I mean, he already does. Amen. I think it's a very good prayer, as prayers go. You forgot to mention that I'm God's gift to women. You know.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Bishop, and thank you very much, Pastor. That's great. And
it's great praying, good pray stuff.
We're going to be discussing some pretty important things today, I think. It's all
You think?
important, but
Oh, it's all important. Well then, why think?
the timing of this is very appropriate. This was set up actually a long time ago, but the timing is very appropriate.
What do you mean by a long time ago? Because a short period of time to you is your taxes will be released in a very short period of time, and the Republican health care plan will be out in a very short period of time. And that was years ago. So if it was a long time ago, when did you plan this? 72?
We are here to listen to community and faith leaders. We're going to be hearing from a lot of the good ones.
As opposed to?
Some of the great ones, but a lot of the good ones.
Is there going to be a pageant? Is this the RuPaul Drag Race of Christianity?
And to present our vision of advancing the cause of justice and freedom. From day one, I've been fighting for the forgotten men and women of America, and I think we've been doing a great job of it.
Do you?
We've been doing a lot in many other ways, but it gets lost a little bit sometimes.
Does it? No one notices. People are always praying around me and distracting people from how hard I've been working, you know. Lord, I pray that more will notice me and my good works. You know, that old chestnut.
Bishop, you know that gets lost.
You know that, Bishop. Everybody's been ignoring me. The Bishop!
We've done so much, and a lot of the things that we've done that we're very proud of gets lost. Like, we got criminal justice reform passed, and they've been trying to do it for many years, and they haven't been able to report that.
Yeah, gee, who ran interference on it all this time?
We secured permanent and record-setting funding for HBCUs. That's historically
purple?
Black college.
HPCUs? Historically plaque colleges and universities? Historically purple colleges and universities? Finally, Grape Ape and Grimace are going to get the those Pell Grants they've been waiting for.
Universities, it's all done.
It's all done.
We created tens of thousands of jobs with opportunity zones, Tim Scott.
Which are totally different than enterprise zones, just like the Affordable Care Act is so different from the stupid Obamacare.
We had a great senator from South Carolina that many of you know. He came with an idea, and I thought it was a great idea.
You know him because he's black, and, you know, the black people here, you know the black guy, right? Everybody, black people all know each other. You have like a hive mind, like Alien. Like if you destroy one of your eggs, the mother gets all mad, and you have to attack her with a loader. You know, like that.
We got it done. A lot of people said that could never happen, but nobody thought it would be successful like it is. Tens of thousands of jobs and investment in communities where that money wouldn't go. And we achieved.
Yeah, because Republicans have been like really chomping at the bit to make sure there's plenty of investment in black communities. The only time you cared about it is when you realize, oh, we're getting 4% of the black vote. And they're all in the room.
Lowest black unemployment in the history of our country prior to the plague coming in from China. And we'll get it back again soon. It'll happen soon.
No, it won't.
That'll happen very soon. In recent days, there's been vigorous discussion about how to ensure fairness, equality, and justice for all of our people. Unfortunately, there are some trying to stoke division and to push an extreme agenda, which we won't go for, that will
Well, just tell Stephen Miller then, and he'll rewrite the speech.
produce only more poverty, more crime, more suffering.
by letting more black people and more Hispanic people into the country. And we can't let that happen. We need merit.
This includes radical efforts to defund, dismantle, and disband the police. They want to get rid of the police forces. They actually want to get rid of it. And that's what...
No, they don't. And nobody is floating that in any major way. And if they are, they're going to end up with county-based police. They're going to have police.
They'd do, and that's where they'd go. And you know that because at the top position, there's not going to be much leadership. There's not much leadership left. Instead, we have to go the opposite way. We must invest more energy and resources in police training and recruiting and community engagement. We have to respect our police. We have to take care of our police. They're protecting us. And if they're allowed to do their job, they'll do a great job. And you always have a bad apple no matter where you go. You have bad apples. And there are not too many of them, and I can tell you there are not too many.
No, there's bad. The apples are a real problem, I think, you know.
You'll have nobody guarding your potatoes. I'm in the police department. We all know a lot of members of the police. I was listening today, and a friend of mine was on, very important person, said some of the best people he's ever met are policemen, law enforcement people.
And I was like, yeah, except during the fake Russiagate and the hoax and the deep state cops that are in there, and they're dirty cops. And Chris Wray and Comey, they're all scum. You know, law and order.
They're taking care of people that in many cases...
Cheers, Can't Stop Lying. Are you doing good? Did I miss you? Hold on. Just got home, can't stay today. Was helping my sister move the rest of her stuff. Storage unit, 4 hours sleep, haven't eaten yet. Just wanted to see... Oh, well, then get some rest, brother. Good to see you. Big hug.
They never even met before. And at great danger, at great risk. They get shot for no reason whatsoever other than they're wearing blue. They get knifed. You saw that the other night. It was a horrible thing. But there is no opportunity without safety. In Chicago, 48 people were shot and 18 people were killed in one day, Sunday, May 31st. Think of that. 48 people shot, 18 people killed. You don't hear about it too much. Every child should be able to grow up in a safe community, free from violence and fear. They've taken a lot of the police protection away in Chicago, and they have great
No, they haven't.
police in Chicago. I know Chicago very well, but they're not allowed to do what they can do better than anybody. They could.
What do you mean, shoot people? What are you talking about? They're overwhelmed by guns flowing in from other places.
Do the job very easily. Americans are good and virtuous people. We have to work together to confront bigotry and prejudice wherever they appear.
We are. That's why we're making fun of you today.
But we'll make no progress and heal no wounds by falsely labeling tens of millions of decent Americans as racist or bigots. We have to get
Tens of millions? We're talking, I'm going with 150,000 tops.
everybody together. We have to be
But it's a distinction they've earned.
the same path, I think, Pastor. If we don't do that, we have problems, and we'll do that. We'll do it. I think we're going to do it very easily. It'll go quickly, and it'll go very easily. We have so many
Really? It will? Like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? That was solved, right? We just forgot about that.
different elements of strength in this country. We have such potential in this country. We have the greatest potential. We have the greatest country in the world. But we get off subject. We start thinking about things that don't matter or don't matter much.
Oh, what are you in? Like, we think about things that don't matter or don't matter much, like the death of George Floyd and
the important things we don't even discuss, but we're here to discuss.
The important things we don't even discuss. Now we're here to discuss. What are you talking about?
Some very important things today. Politicians
Which part? Sorry.
Make false charges, and they're trying to distract from their own failed records. They have some very bad records.
Yeah, I was not a fan of Nancy Pelosi's second album. It just didn't have the vigor of the first record. The third one, I thought it was great or whatever when she got a new guitar player.
These are usually the ones that cause the problems or can't solve the problems.
Oh, really? You mean the places with people in them?
These are the same politicians who shipped our jobs away and took tremendous advantage of all Americans, but African-American middle class. So much of that wealth and that money and those jobs went to China and other countries.
Oh, see, didn't you realize black people all this time. You had tons of jobs and wealth. You were doing, I don't understand what you're complaining about. You've had all these jobs, apparently, and all this wealth, and it was just sent to China.
And they get trapped. They get trapped. They get trapped in a government morass. They get trapped in bad government schools.
Bad government schools. That's the problem. Too much education in the black community.
I'm going to be announcing 4 steps to build safety and opportunity and dignity.
Oh, great. 4 steps. Exactly how many he can walk without getting winded first.
First, we're aggressively pursuing economic development in minority communities. We're doing it very powerfully. We've done it with opportunity zones, but we're going to go above that.
Very powerfully.
At the heart of this effort is increasing access to capital for small businesses, and that's with minority owners in black communities.
You mean minority owners in black communities? Yeah. You mean loans?
And we're going to get it done, and it should have been done a long time ago. It's been very difficult, very, very difficult for...
Yeah, it was really difficult back in the 70s when your dad and you wouldn't rent to black people.
Some people
it's been really hard for, people, black people who get accounting degrees because of guys like you saying you don't want black people counting your money. You want people who know what they're doing, the guys with the small hats.
Difficult. Second, we're confronting the healthcare disparities, including addressing chronic conditions and investing substantial sums in minority-serving medical institutions. We have medical institutions in some areas of our country that are a disgrace. I was going to say not up to standard. They're much worse than not up to standard. They're a disgrace.
Yeah? So you're talking about like Eastern Kentucky, Appalachia, the hospitals around Western Tennessee, Alabama, places like that, you mean?
Take care of it. Third, we're working to finalize an executive order that will encourage police departments nationwide to meet the most current professional standards for the use of force, including
the professional standards for, so if you're going to do a chokehold, make sure you give them a good how do you do and a napkin afterwards. That's right. No plastic straws, though. Those are illegal.
Tactics for de-escalation. Also, will encourage pilot programs that allow social workers to join certain law enforcement officers so
law enforcement
that they work together. We'll take care of our police. We're not defunding police. If anything, we're going the other route. We're going to make sure that
the other route.
Police are well trained, perfectly trained. They have the best equipment.
Yeah.
Perfectly trained. They have the best equipment. They're not short on equipment. In some cases, they have been. I take it back. In some cases, the police have been short on equipment. You know what they've been short on? PPE. And you've lost something in the order of 119 officers to COVID-19 through direct exposure just in doing their jobs because they did not have gloves and masks. And because the people running their departments didn't require them to or didn't allow them to because of you. Perfectly trained. Are we using a cattle prod? Or are we hiring Caesar? What's happening?
Some of the things that we have heard, because I know a lot of the people in the audience and they're professionals and what they do, and they're successful people, and we're hearing things that are not even thinkable. I've never even heard of this before last week.
Oh boy.
It was like, it started about a week ago where I heard they want to close up all police forces. That's what their attack on a very liberal governor in the state of Washington is. We want the police force closed. It's not like they want to sort of bring a little money into something else. They want it actually closed.
Yeah. 1/2 of 1/2 of 1/2 of 1% of people want this? Right. Thanks, Hal Vickery. Right.
And I'm thinking, what happens late at night when you make that call to 911 and there's nobody there? What do you do? Whether you're white, black, or anybody else, I mean, what do? You're dialing and there's somebody breaking into a house and it happens to be a violent person. There are violent people around, Pastor. Even you will admit that, right? Yes. We want to think the best, but you have some very violent people. And
yeah, some people walk right up to a woman and grab her vagina without even asking.
They're breaking into your house at 12 o'clock in the evening, and you're sitting there, and you don't have a police force. They're actually talking about not having a police force. Well, that's not happening with us. We're going to have stronger police forces because that's what you need. In Minneapolis, they went
Not happening, by the way.
through 3 nights of hell, and then I was insistent on having.
I said, send in the National Guard and start shooting these people. And interestingly enough, that didn't happen. But the Floyd family came out and said, please behave peacefully and show the peace sign. And then it started to dwindle, but largely because I sent in the National Guard, which the governor called in on his own. But I was like, you should do that. And they were like, we're already doing it. And I was like, told you so.
National Guard go in and do their work. It was like a miracle. It just everything.
Was it a miracle? You might want to use that word sparingly around these folks.
Stopped. And I'll never.
It's like a miracle. They came in and fish just started falling from the sky. They were just like everywhere, just landing all around us.
Forget the scene. It's not supposed to be a beautiful scene, but to me it was after you.
It was a beautiful, it's beautiful when you're in a situation where you need the National Guard to put down civil unrest in your country. It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. I mean, that's the kind of thing you hope for when you run for president. Gee, I hope when I'm president that I get a chance to use a line of National Guard people because people are so freaked out about the extrajudicial murder of a man.
Policemen running out of a police precinct.
Oh God, that one again. Why didn't they just shoot him? It's a public building. Surely 1 or 2 of them, if you shoot them, then the other ones will run away. Isn't 2 deaths worth a building?
And it wasn't their fault. They
that's insured.
wanted to do what they had to do, but they weren't allowed to do anything. It wasn't really their fault, but they were running down the street. They weren't allowed to do what they're trained to do.
Which is what are they trained to do? They're trained to give tickets and arrest individuals who are engaged in crime and bring that person to a holding cell where they can be put into the judicial system to be judged at a later time, not extrajudicially judged with a service revolver for running down the street.
And they took over the precinct. They essentially burned it down. I'm pretty good at construction, I want to tell you. That was almost what we call a complete renovation, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, it's a complete renovation. Because he knows, by the way, the Trumps haven't built anything since 91.
And it was a very simple.
And even then, it wasn't their project.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. But we are very proud of the fact that I called, I said, I'm sorry, we have to have them go in. And they went in, and it was like a knife cutting butter. Right.
Yipe. Again, the analogies. It wasn't like a knife cutting butter. It was like bread pushing the butter back. How about that?
Through, boom.
It was like marmalade, miracles from the sky. It was like they were opening a can of sardines. It was like they grabbed him by the vagina.
I'll never forget, you saw the scene on that road, wherever it may be, in the city, Minneapolis. They were lined up, boom, they just walked straight.
Yeah, because they were nonviolent protesters.
And yes, there was some tear gas and probably some other things.
Probably. You mean rubber bullets in the faces of people?
And the crowd dispersed and they went through by the end of that evening, and it was a short evening. It
was a short evening. That night was shorter than most. I don't know if you followed it, because if the moon was in eclipse. A short evening. It was a short evening. What is he talking about?
It was fine, and you didn't hear too much about that location having problems anymore. They went to other locations, and the same thing would happen. As an example, Seattle would be so easy to solve.
You just shoot some people. Just kill them. You know, I mean, I don't even know why we do hostage negotiations. Honestly, isn't it a waste of time and resources? We have to keep cleaning the inflatable air mattress that we put down in front of everybody, the giant stunt pad, drive it in there. There's a bunch of running around and news crews, a lot of wasted gas. Why don't we just shoot them and get it over with and send 2 people with mops?
Would be so easy to solve. We have a governor here of a great state. It's called Texas.
Well, he knows where he is at least.
Solve it very easily.
He would be very happy to shoot his own citizens.
As would other of your political leaders, including your lieutenant governor. They would solve it very easily. It's a lot of it's common sense. I don't even think it's courage. I think it's probably more courageous the other way, because I wouldn't want to be doing it the other way. It's very unsafe. So I just want to tell you.
I wouldn't want to be doing it the other way. You mean he wouldn't want to be one of the rioters because it's very unsafe, because the cops are going to shoot you in the face with a rubber bullet or shoot you in the chest with a gas canister, where they, like they did that girl who was kneeling, sent her to the hospital. She's still in critical condition. Which they didn't have to do, by the way. They could have shot the ground, could have bounced it off the ground. They could have done all kinds of things. They could have thrown those canisters out and driven people out by hand, but they fired it into her chest.
We're working on a lot of different elements having to do with law, order, safety, comfort control.
Comfort control. Hashtag comfort control. It's good. We're like easing the seat back on America and turning off the passenger airbag because we don't like our wife and we want a new model.
We want safety. We want compassion. We want everything. What happened 2 weeks ago was a disgrace when you see that. What happened on numerous occasions over the last 2 weeks, people were killed.
See that? There were, on both sides, there's a lot of people getting killed. It's the samey same, back and forth. Look at him talking about the George Floyd situation again, where you could infer, if you so chose, if you dog whistled it enough, that what the disgrace was the fact that Chauvin got charged.
Number of people were killed, and it was very, very terrible and very, very unfair. Number of them were police officers, and it was a very unfair situation. We don't want to see that. And with strength, you wouldn't even have that. They wouldn't be in a position to do the kind of damage that they've done. They've destroyed.
Yeah, why aren't we acting towards our protesters the way China does? I mean, honestly, why don't we just put people in metal boxes, drive them out to the desert, put their relatives in re-education camps, and let them just disappear?
People, they've destroyed businesses, they've destroyed African-American owned small businesses.
Yeah, but enough about the Boogaloo Boys and the Proud Boys.
Hopefully they're going to come back. We're providing funding for a lot of small businesses, and hopefully we'll be able to get
loans,
everybody online and get funding.
Loans.
To be able to open up their stores and their small businesses again. But we're working to finalize an executive order that
we're going to give you plenty of help with interest.
Will encourage police departments nationwide to meet the most current professional standards of force. And that means force, but force with compassion. But if you're going to have to really do a job, if somebody's really bad, you're going to have to do it with real strength, real.
Yeah, we're not talking about those situations. We're talking about dudes selling cigarettes and passing phony 20s. We're talking about jaywalking. We're talking about just random pullovers. And I posted a bunch of cases where a lot of those, like what are effectively minor situations, go south really quick. And so you can understand why cops are on edge in every engagement with a human being. Everyone. Because they do not know who's going to be the sovereign citizen who decides to pull a gun and get out of there, or who wants suicide by cop. Half these assholes who I see walking around without masks on when I have gone to the grocery and stuff like that, it's almost as if they're committing like suicide by COVID. They're just like, I'll just go this way. You gotta die of something, might as well.
Power. And I said, and people said, oh, I don't know if we like that expression. I said, we have to dominate the streets. You can't let that happen, what happened in New York City, the damage they've done. You have to dominate the streets.
Yeah, the concern is, what do you mean by dominate? Shooting reporters in the face? How many steps is that to putting them in a blender or a wood chipper like Khashoggi?
And I was criticized for that statement. I made the statements, we have to dominate the street. And they said, oh, that's such a terrible thing. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
You know who dominated the streets? People that you don't want to dominate the streets, and look at the damage they did.
You.
So I'll stick with that, and I think most of the people in this room, maybe every person in this room will stick with that. And we're doing it with compassion. If you think about it, we're dominating the street with compassion because we're saving lives.
That's what you're doing. Guys, you know, people are being shot with flower petals. Listen to what the flower people say. Listen, it's getting louder every day. We're dominating with compassion. That's what it was. We just sprayed compassion all over the place.
Lives, and we're saving businesses. We're saving families from being wiped out after working hard for 20 and 30 years. I saw the one woman, she worked 35 years building a store, and in one night it was totally wiped out. It's terrible. And fourth, we're renewing our call on Congress to finally enact school choice now. School choice is a big deal.
So that we can have 2 charter schools in an area with not enough seats for the people in the area, while we let the public schools in the area dwindle because all the funding goes there.
Because access to education is the civil rights issue of our time, and I've heard.
Or you could just not fund schools based on the property taxes of the area they're in.
For the last, I would say, year, but it really is. It's the civil rights issue of our time. When you can.
You want to make it that way, but yeah, you know, because that great, you know, spokesperson of civil rights, Betsy DeVos.
Have children go to a school where their parents want them to go. And it creates competition, and other schools fight harder because all of a sudden they say, wow, we're losing it. We have to fight harder. It gets better.
We're losing it.
So many.
You mean losing the funding that every other school in wealthy areas enjoys nonstop, even when there are charter schools?
Different ways. But there are groups of people against that. You have unions against it. You have others against it. And they're not against it for the right reasons. They're against.
Why are they against it?
For a lot of the wrong reasons. And
what are those wrong reasons?
We're going to get that straight. Now, we've done a lot of it. We've had tremendous success with choice.
What were the wrong reasons and the right reasons? Which ones, what were they? Explain one.
We had choice in a lot of ways. We also have choice in the military. You know, before I came here, the vets would wait online, Pastor. They'd be waiting. It wouldn't be acceptable to you. I know it wouldn't be acceptable to the bishop. I know it's going to be acceptable to you. They'd wait for 4 or 5 weeks to get online, a vet, where they were sick. They were feeling badly, and they'd get online, and they'd say, there's a 6-day wait, sir. There's a 2-week wait. There's a 1-month wait. And you'd have people online that weren't very ill, and they'd be terminally ill before they got to see a doctor.
You just raise the funding of the VA if you wanted. Let it have enough resources.
Die.
But no.
And for years and years, they've been trying to get veterans' choice. That means if you can't get to a doctor reasonably quickly, you go outside, you go to a local doctor around where you live, and the government pays the bill. And by the way, it sounds expensive. It's very cheap by comparison. It's actually much better. Now, most importantly, we take care of our vets. By far most importantly.
So this is basically you're doing Medicare for all for vets. So maybe just expand that. Why is it cheaper? If it's better, if it still works better. Interesting. I mean, it's bullshit, but yeah.
But it's one of those many cases where it's actually less costly and better. Sometimes you'll see a building, it costs less money than
Thanks, Templeton.
the building.
Oh, it's low and crackly and stuff? I'm sorry. I'll switch the other one again and see if it helps. I don't know why it acts that way sometimes. It looks fine on the thing, so it might just be where it is. Maybe that's it. Maybe we'll try that.
Costs more because the one that built the one that costs more, this one looks better. The one that's
What? The one with the curly Q furniture.
cheaper, it looks better. They say, how much more did you spend for that building? Actually, we spent less. You can do that. It's called, you have to know what you're doing.
It's called you have to know what you're doing. That's what it's called. Go, hey, what do you call that? You call that you have to know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing. That's only good for the real estate people in here, of which there are plenty, by the way. So I just want to thank everybody.
Yeah, you mean your primary constituency?
This is a tremendous place. This is a great city. This is a great, great city, and with tremendous people and tremendous pride. And I say the same for the state of Texas. You know, your governor came to me and he said, when you had your bad hurricane 2 years ago, I gave so much money to Texas, more. He kept coming, more. How about here? How about... So finally, you know, though, we took good care of Texas. Is that right? We took such good care of Texas. They were looking for the next hurricane. They said, when's the next hurricane? But they had a big one. And
tell that joke to Puerto Rico.
they say you had the largest water dump ever. It
Hold on. You what?
just didn't stop. It came in, and you thought it was gone, and then it went back out, and it reloaded, right? And it happened 3 times. And your governor came and he wanted to build a barrier so that water would hit the barrier, wouldn't come into certain parts of Texas.
You mean a dam? Or a breakwater? Or...
He called me, he said, sir, I just have one more request. This is after we gave...
I mean, you build things. What do you call that?
$28 billion, sir, $28 billion. I mean, we watch the pennies, but when it comes to Texas, we don't watch them too closely, okay?
All right, so there you go. That's it. We're just buying votes in the states that we need.
And he said, Governor Abbott, he said, just one more request, and it's a very small one, sir.
Are there giant black areas in Texas? Huh. Are there huge areas? Yeah, thank you, Levy. Yeah.
Of building a wall. It goes up and down. It moves with the tides. I said, that sounds expensive to me. It moves with the tides, and it's not a lot of money. Could I ask you to do me one small favor and approve it? I said, how much is it? Sir, it's only $10 billion. And I said, start working on it, right? I said, start working on it, because we can do things to get rid of those. You get hit pretty hard here. They get hit pretty hard here, don't they? Were you affected very much when you had, during the hurricanes itself?
We had a lot of people who were displaced that came to this area.
Yeah. Well, we took good care of everybody. So I just want to say this is one of my favorite places. I know we're doing very well here.
So I'm honest to God, can we just get a list of all the places where he's denied funding for emergencies, like Michigan and all this stuff? Like literally, he just talked about like just chucking money at Texas.
During the last process, they kept saying that Texas is too close to call. And friends of mine in Texas would say, it's not too close to call. You're going to win in a landslide. And I said, well, they
great. Keep thinking that.
Keep saying. Yeah. We had one man got on television, actually, and he said, I don't know where you come from, but I don't think this is too close to call. I think he's going to win by a lot. And we won by a lot. It was 8 o'clock, and the polls were closed, and they said, Donald Trump has won the state of Texas. And he said it simultaneously, so...
And what's the numbers this time?
And we're doing good here again. But, you know, one of the things I'd have to say, because this is big oil territory, I think we've done a fantastic job with bringing back the oil in a rapid fashion. That looked pretty bad. That looked pretty bad. You had a case, you had a couple of hours where if you bought a barrel of oil, you bought it for $37, as if they gave you $37, okay?
Right. And if you'd have, Mr. Deal Man, if you had waited and filled the strategic reserve, or actually hadn't waited, if you had filled the strategic reserve during that time, the American people would have been paid $37 a barrel to take oil into the strategic reserve. For literally, we would have made money on filling the reserve. But you couldn't, because you'd allowed the oil companies to use the strategic reserve to hold on to their shit until they could sell it later. Good Lord.
There's never been a thing like that ever. Now I see that it's getting close to $40 a barrel, and you're back in business, and we got it done fast, and we got Russia together with Saudi Arabia, and they cut production, and they got it back fast, and we're very, very proud of it. The supply changed rapidly with COVID-19, or whatever you want to call it. I'd never
you can call it COVID-19. It's COVID-19.
So many names. You have about 30 names you can call this thing. I call it the plague from China. It's a plague. And it's not good.
Dude, start attacking China nonstop. Like, work on that next, Mr. We're gonna make such a deal.
And it's not good, and it's could have been stopped. It could have been stopped in China, but they decided not to do that, and we'll have to figure that.
They decided not to do that. So here's the president of the United States saying that the Chinese could have stopped it, but they made a decision to not stop the virus when they could have, so that they could kill 116,000 Americans. We invaded Afghanistan and Iraq over the death of 3,000 Americans.
Went out, won't we? So I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. This is a very spectacular place, and I want to introduce Attorney General Barr and Secretary Carson to say a few words, along with the Surgeon General, who has been a real young star in the administration. And please, if I could, Bill, take over, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Put him way over in the corner. And they took a bunch of the people who were at that gathering that he had.
Mr. President, and thank you for convening this discussion. And I'd like to thank the many impressive leaders, civic leaders, religious leaders, and colleagues from law enforcement who are here. That ghastly spectacle in Minneapolis was really jarring to the whole nation, and it forced us to confront and think about, reflect on longstanding issues in our nation.
Okay, notice again. This could be at a gathering of white supremacists taken as the fact that Chauvin was charged for killing a dude who fought back and was on meth and had COVID, and he held his neck, held him because the guy was resisting arrest, and that guy lost his job and the other officers are getting charged, is a horrible, horrible thing. And we need to start looking at why we let some people ruin cops' lives. Like, I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you couldn't read that statement that way as well. No mention of George Floyd's name.
Those issues obviously relate to the relationship between law enforcement and the African American community.
Uh-huh. Do they relate?
But just
I can relate.
To step back a little and take a broader view initially, I've been thinking about how do we achieve the full American dream for all communities, African American communities, all communities. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I'm proud to serve in this administration is because I think the president is moving forward on the critical elements necessary to provide and ensure that opportunity.
Increased militarization of the police, you mean?
First and foremost, economic growth. Without growth, there is no opportunity.
Yeah, so trickle-down economics, that's what we're talking about again. Same shit as last time. But this is the thing where, like, when Sanders talks about race and he always brings it back to, this is all about, the economic, the working classes having a problem, but they always make it about economics. Instead of, one of the primary things you could do is make sure people, when they encounter the police, that the police are there to do a specific job. They're not as enemies of the people. They're not soldiers. They're police officers. They protect and serve. And everybody they come in contact with is innocent until proven guilty. And the delivering of that person alive as best within their ability as possible is the primary aspect of their job, which is different than being a soldier. This is not about notches and body counts.
Second.
Oh, there's 3, Elizabeth, including the bishop so far.
Second, education. I think Condi Rice said
charter schools
a few years ago, it's the civil rights issue of our time. Because without a good education, we are not allowing our young people to seize their
Thank you, Scooter. How are you? From Mesa? Yes.
Opportunities and pursue their dreams.
She says, have you seen the new cop murder video from Mesa, Arizona? Horrifying innocent man murdered lying on the ground.
And as the president mentioned, it's only by empowering parents and giving them the power to choose the education for their children that we're ever going to be able to obtain that.
Okay, let's also point to the fact that this is about if you live in an area where there are increasing numbers of black kids in the school, you should have the right to segregate your kid and pull them out. That's as much part of what he's saying now as making sure that schools are available to places. Like, because where do you think charter schools are going to bloom? In places that don't have money? Are you shitting me? It's like the disband, the idiocy of the disband the police argument, because it will not be disbanded in places that need the cops less. There is no way that Kenilworth, Illinois, is going to not have cops. There's no way that Winnetka, there's no way that the northern parts of Minneapolis aren't going to have as many cops on the street as they possibly want. There is no way that Beverly Hills defunds or loses its police department. But you damn straight that, you know, Compton didn't have they're under Rampart. They're under the LAPD now. They might as well just have the highway patrol coming through every so often and going, hey, yeah, it looks okay to me.
Third, I think, is moral discipline.
Moral discipline. This sounds dirty.
And our young people, they have to have the discipline to seize the opportunity to make.
Oh, so it's moral discipline. So black kids, you have to morally discipline yourself so that you don't resist arrest, even if you're being suffocated. Don't wiggle so much. You're only making it worse. And you need to study hard, because just because we put a charter school in your area we can't guarantee you an education. We can't make the words get in your head.
Momentary sacrifices for later gain. And traditionally, that has come, and people can find it perhaps from many sources, but traditionally that has come from religion, which our founders believed was the foundation of our republic.
Thomas Jefferson took all the miracles out of the Bible, and most of them were deists. Half of them were unspoken pagans. They didn't believe in monotheism. They thought it was part of the indoctrination that led to monarchies. But probably a good line to say at a church. And yeah, they thought that the Bible was so integral to the nation that literally the first two rights in the Bill of Rights are directly in contradiction to the Bible. First and Second Amendment, literally, First Amendment erases from the Ten Commandments, thou shalt have no other gods before me, thou shalt honor your father and mother, all the things like free speech and freedom of religion. That's just telling half of the commandments to piss off. And then thou shalt not kill. What do you think a Second Amendment does? Clearly thou shalt kill, if thou thinkst thou is being annoyed. Was Jefferson a Mason? He became a Mason later. He was not initially.
And we have to stop policies that undermine religion.
He grew into becoming a Mason.
Or relegate religion out of the public square.
Nobody relegated religion out of the public square. They just eliminated the primary control of one religion.
But now I get to my job, which is safety.
That's what it is. Safety and the buffet.
Without safety, you cannot have progress. You can't have a life, a decent.
Actually, you can have a lot of progress without safety. As a matter of fact, most of the great moments in progress have been in direct conflict with safety as a notion. Space program, military tests. How safe do you think nuclear power was when they first started developing it? What the shit are you talking about? You can't have progress without safety. You nuts? More of these liberal conservative snowflakes wanting everybody to wear a helmet.
Life in a community. And, this was struck home to me 30 years ago when I visited Trenton when I was Attorney General last time, and I went to a small barber shop in an African-American neighborhood
Why? Because they're the only one who know how to do your hair right?
There were people there in their 60s and 70s, and they said, Mr. Barr, we're in our golden years, and we are living behind bars. Look down the street. All the bars are on our windows, and the criminals run free on the street. Now, we've made a lot of progress since then. The crime rate has been cut in half.
Oh, have we? Have we? Do we want to go to the chart that shows the removal of lead from gasoline and the 20-year linkage to the decline in crime?
And a big part of that has been
no, Trump is not a Mason.
Improvement.
He could not become a Mason because he would not. There are a couple of things in there, not the least of which crimes of moral turpitude are an issue, but also because he would have to guarantee that he does not act on any other Mason or man's wife or daughter or widow. So I'm doubting he would swear on a Bible to that.
Policing. And the progress we've made in policing, and yes, the progress that police departments have made in building relationships with the community. I think law enforcement has understood for a long time that there is distrust in the African American community toward the law enforcement system. And when you reflect on our history, you could understand why. Because for most of our history, just up until the last 60 years, the institutions in this country, the laws and the institutions were explicitly discriminatory. There was not equal protection of the law, by law. And it's only been since Jim Crow that our laws have been changed to provide for equal justice. And what we've had really since, and so the civil rights effort up until that time was to tear down institutions. But I don't think now is the time to be tearing down our institutions.
Nobody's, like 9 people are talking about tearing down the institutions. For the record, we're not getting rid of the police. That's fringe nonsense. That's the liberal equivalent of QAnons. The only difference is there are more QAnons out there. So, no.
Because we've been on a march for the last 50 years of reforming our institutions.
Oh, have
we
now?
We don't need to tear them down. We have to be mature about this, and when we see problems, we have to redouble our efforts to reform our institutions and make sure they're in sync with our values. And I don't think anyone who's honest would deny that we've made a lot of progress in policing over the last 50 years. And in fact, you know, one of the things about this episode in Minneapolis was how fast both the state and federal law enforcement responded to dealing with that action.
There was no speed on it. Took them days to even think about charging Chauvin, much less the other cops.
So I think that while we saw something very bad.
Oh, there already are QAnons in Congress.
It has helped perhaps galvanize the will of the country to bring good out of that. And we can't let that incident obscure the fact that progress has been made, that policemen are by and large, by overwhelming majority, good, decent people who care about their community and put their lives on the line for us, their neighbors.
This is true. We've gone over this on my own show. You don't get to hide behind the good ones because you use the bad ones as pit bulls.
And we can't lose sight of the fact and can't let this event obscure the fact
that Trump was impeached, and we need to release the entirety of the grand jury testimony gathered by the Mueller investigation so that for once and for all, we can all see just how innocent he is. Poor guy.
That the real oppression and danger to our communities comes more from violent crime and lawlessness than it does from the police. Now, we've never...
lawlessness like economically gutting those kind of areas? Lawlessness like not renting to black people? Like that kind of lawlessness too? Because you could talk to the dude to your left. He's in the center of the table. You could go...
We've never had a president who was more committed to reforming law enforcement. And he's done that with the First Step Act and with the First
Step Act isn't reforming law enforcement. That's sentencing. That's after the fact.
Police Commission since Lyndon Johnson. And I'm very optimistic.
The only commission since, that's because the other ones haven't needed it. They know what the problem is.
Think about, what we're going to be able to do, given his leadership, but also given the leadership of our police forces, which around the country increasingly have become better and better led. And I think the police profession is itself committed to addressing the issues that we saw in Minneapolis and completing the process of professionalizing policing in this country.
You don't want to professionalize it. Professionals work for themselves and the betterment of theirs. Public servants work for the betterment of the community and themselves and the area they live in and their city and their state. You want them to be better public servants. They risk their lives for us. That's where their honor comes from. That's why we respect cops. We don't, it's not how tight their tie is.
And as the president said, we're working on a number of things through the commission that he set up and also through an executive order to propel that process even faster by looking at how we can encourage the adoption of guidelines about the use of force that are acceptable both to the community and to the police profession, but also to encourage certification of police forces
that'll do it. Certificates. I got my non-chokehold certificate. I'll just put it up here on the wall, and you can just look at it after I choke someone.
Also, through such activities as increasing grants to encourage the use of co-responders. More and more our police are being asked to deal with problems that hasn't previously been the problem of law enforcement. They have to deal with homeless people. They have to deal with a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, thanks, Ronald Reagan.
They have to deal with...
Gee, we used to have institutions that handled this kind of thing.
Drug addiction, the drug addicts and so forth. And providing some additional support to the police in these areas is going to be important. So let me just say that the Department of Justice is committed to support the president's efforts here, do all we can to bring good out of this bad incident. Thank you.
And still, we have not said what the bad incident was. Was the bad incident the killing of George Floyd? Or was it the arresting of Chauvin and the other cops? Again, just say it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
So good. So good.
Surgeon General, please, go ahead. You want to go? Go ahead. Why don't you go, then Ben will go. Is that okay?
All right.
Good. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Thank you to the panelists. I just want to start off by saying that many people across the country and across
are not aware that the president weighs 232 pounds, is svelte, has a 40-inch waist, and can bench press 300 pounds.
The great state of Texas are hurting right now.
And he is strong like bull.
Due to the tragedy that occurred to George Floyd.
See, notice how he says who it is. No, that's not hard. Honest to God. That's what when you talk about this, that's what you say. It's not difficult. You say what the tragedy was and who it happened to so that you don't allow for the inference that you're talking about the other side. I'm not upset that the guy died. I'm upset that the cops got busted. Tell me that's not what they mean.
And I just want to extend my condolences to the Floyd family.
Yeah, something Barr couldn't do. By the way, I don't need to chime in on him or even Ben Carson, who a little bit ridiculous. Let's go to Trump and his weird, repetitive pastor.
I just was thinking about that 30 years ago, I was serving as associate pastor at a small church, and I asked Bishop Harry Jackson to come and teach us on race relations. to teach us what we didn't know, because we don't know.
Isn't that good? He chose you because, well, looking at you, I can't really figure out. Something about you says we should bring you to a white church to talk about. Never mind.
We don't know. And now 30 years later,
we still need the lesson.
Bishop
It didn't stick.
Harry and I are setting.
No, yeah, he was the sociopath at a small church. No, he was the associate pastor. That happens all the time.
Each side of the President of the United States.
Why? He's sitting besides the President of the United States. You were against the black president of the United States. Why are you clapping? What are you talking about?
He is concerned about healing a problem that we've had in our nation for a long time, but not just addressing one part of the problem.
But also the problem in Kenya, where they're sending over black guys to sneak into the government and undermine everything that we've worked so hard for.
Housing, we have the Secretary of Housing, Education, Justice here, Attorney.
Housing, you mean Housing and Urban Development?
General Barr, thank you for being here. Thank
Housing.
you, a great governor, Governor Abbott, and I believe that we're going to work together and we're going to see freedom and justice for all in America. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
This. I'm gonna go with this guy needs to have a vocabulary lesson and broaden his horizons a little bit. Because whip out some Bible verses, man. You know, give me a little Isaiah 2:12. You're sitting right next to the man.
it. Thank you very much. Great job you do here, too. Great job. Jack, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Pastor Morris, for offering your church. I think right now, like any other time in our nation's history, we need God.
Tell us how we need God, Trump. And by the way, I have no problem with any of these folks that are religious. You guys know me. I got nothing wrong with that stuff. I want to hear Trump's take on what he's hearing is a bigger joke.
We'll be back. We'll be.
Serve, protect, and connect. And together is better. And as I look around this room, I know that together we will become better and we will take this country to great levels under the leadership of Donald Trump.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Look at it, Surgeon General put his mask back on as soon as he was done talking. Nobody else. You might want to, I'm just saying, the one dude who's the Surgeon General, this is what he did as soon as he was done talking. Just saying.
All of you guys are like from Central Casting. Right.
Thank you very much. That's beautiful. So it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back. We'll be back. And I just want to thank Bishop. You've been my friend for a long time, and I appreciate everything you've done and everything you've said. A great unifying.
What has he got in his bottle? What is that? Hold on. Check this out for 1 second. I've got to widen this out a little bit. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. This guy. This thing. Oh, quit it. Oh, I have to option to it. Right. Sorry. Yeah. There it is. His bottle. See that? What's in it? Is he? This is the water, and then there's the water's over there, and then what is this? What's that right? Is he just taunting Trump at this point?
Source of strength and everything else, and I appreciate
strength and everything else.
it very much.
You know, Jesus stuff.
Thank you. Can I add one last thing,
Please.
before you leave?
Please.
I'm tired of people blaming the current administration and others in our generation. These problems began many years ago. And what he's been...
You can't say blaming our generation and then saying these problems began many years ago. Your generation's been in charge since the 80s.
Exciting to me is it was the church that began the abolitionist movement. It was the church and whites and blacks working together that's.
Yeah, that's true. P.S. Let's take Jefferson Davis's statue that was just knocked down, melt it, and turn it into a statue of Harriet Tubman together.
Started the NAACP. They didn't have a black leader at the beginning of time. It was the church that led through in the civil rights movement. So I want to offer you my support in these listening sessions in that the church needs to come together. I believe we can unify better than any group. And what we're looking for you to do is to give structural guidance, which you're working on, and you've already brought forth some amazing things. But I want to affirm that Democrats can't kneel down and wear kente cloth and stop black pain. Republicans can't take some one-time act and stop black pain. But I believe we've got a man.
Notice the difference between the two. The Democrats can't put on kente cloth and stop black pain. Republicans can't do a one-time thing and stop black pain. Okay, so clearly he's aware the Democrats have done lots of things to try and deal with these issues. And here's Trump coming to do one thing because his ass is up against the wall.
Here, who's courageous enough to begin something that's tough and that we're going to this time heal. And so I weep over this. I pray for you, as you know. Thank you. And we
Thank you. Yes, the prayers make me stronger. They give me special magic powers, right? They do? Okay.
believe we're going to get it right. I got to say one last thing. Being I lost my late wife a couple years ago. I found out in dealing with her that sometimes you just got to listen, feel her pain. If you try to fix it too early, you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, he's trying to, I appreciate this guy, what he's trying to do. He's like, I'm praying for you. We need to work together. You can't do the one thing. Listen to this, though. Listen to how this guy's trying to negotiate this language so that he can get this through. I mean, there's reason why you don't just, like, the thing they should do if they were real Christians is get up and walk out. Like, I don't buy that necessarily, especially in every situation, especially if you have a church in Texas. But what you can do is go, I'm here to pray for you. We want, the black community to be helped and supported and all those things. And then say, sometimes you just got to shut the fuck up and listen and stop pretending you're trying to fix stuff for a moment.
Sure, listening sessions are wise because it's going to give that cathartic process a chance. So I didn't want to take up too much time, sir, but I wanted to say that
to you.
People here.
Because you talk about you all the time, and the Lord will take all that is prideful and lofty, and it shall be rended asunder. It will be humbled. Yeah.
I challenge you, Christians, black, white, Asian, let's come together and let's provide a safety net, and then we'll work with business, and then we'll work along with the administration, but don't push them out here up front and say, fix it now, fix it now, fix it now, fix it now, because it's never worked that way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank you because you're, it's so interesting sitting here. What did you say?
Thank you very much, Pastor. Fantastic job you did. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, they're playing You Can't Always Get What You Want in the church. There you go. Didn't even walk off the same way. Oh, God. All right. Before we, I want to do a little bit of this one. I'm not doing all of it. It's just a little kooky. This is Trump's little listening session he did yesterday.
Friends of mine and members of the African American community, and we're going to be.
So this is the I Have Black Friends Defensive Council Roundtable.
Talking about law enforcement, education, business, health, and various other things. As you know, tomorrow we're going to Dallas.
Oh yeah, that worked out really well.
We're going to start our rallies back up now. We've had a tremendous run at rallies. I don't think there's been an empty seat since we came down on the escalator.
Yes, there have. There's been lots of empty seats. There was a shit ton of them at your inauguration. There haven't been any empty seats.
With the first.
It's free. Stop acting like you're selling tickets.
Yeah, that was with the future First Lady.
Especially with these nutcases that deadhead with you. Like, it's one thing to have campaign staff and the like, but there's like people caravanning across the country.
Point. It's been an amazing thing to behold, and we're going to be starting our rallies. The first one we believe will be we're just starting to call up, will be in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Tulsa on Juneteenth. Classy.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Beautiful new.
Where Oral Roberts saw a 900-foot Jesus and told him that he would be taken from the earth and killed if he didn't raise $1 million or some shit. Remember that?
New, and they're looking forward to it. They've done a great job with COVID, as you know, in the state of.
No, they haven't. Well, hold on. Shall we look up Oklahoma COVID numbers? Oklahoma COVID. There you go. Oklahoma COVID cases rise by 146. Let's see. Oklahoma by county. Current situation, positive 7,626. Where's their, here they go. Yeah, we got a bunch of things or whatever. Let's see. Source up 2%. They've got 357 deaths. They've got 1.6% recovery rate on there. Yeah, let's see if I can do this. Wow. Hold on. Copy. Here we go. Put this in here. Let's jump into this guy, shall we? Here's the Oklahoma numbers. Check this out. So here's the, it's a, there you go. There's the Oklahoma numbers. There you go. Cases, recovered, ever hospitalized, still growing, and deaths also still growing. And by the way, they're going cumulative cases. And this is just like, they're just humping right along. There's been no decline. This is just the beginning of the month. Yeah, it's going to be the same. It's the same arc. This is their testing arc. You can just follow it right along. Look at that. Deceased, a humpity. There you go. Trend line, good stuff. All right. Anyways, you were saying they've done a great job.
Oklahoma.
How many people are in Oklahoma? Like, what's the...
We're going to be coming into Florida, do a big one in Florida, big one in Texas. They're all going to be big. We're going to Arizona. We're going to North Carolina at the appropriate time. The governor's a little backward there. He's a little bit behind. And unfortunately, we're going to probably be...
Yeah, there's 3.9 million people in Oklahoma. The entire state of Oklahoma has somewhere in the order of like 1/2 the population of LA County.
Yeah.
The whole state. By the way, they have 2 senators.
Having no choice but to move the Republican convention to another location. That'll be announced shortly, but we'll have no choice. We wanted to stay in North Carolina very badly. We love it. It's a great state I won. Many friends, many relatives, frankly, that live there.
He has a bunch of relatives that live in North Carolina?
And we'll see how it all works out.
Many relatives? What is that, a family state? What? Yes, Oklahoma only has 3.9 million people in it.
It doesn't want to give an inch. And what he's doing is losing hundreds of millions of dollars for his state. But we'll probably have no other...
What is that sound? Is somebody tapping? It sounds like somebody's tapping a styrofoam cup on the table.
Of course, but to move it to another state, we have a lot
Doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like that? maybe it's Morse code.
States that want it: Texas, Georgia, Florida. We have many, many states that want it, but we've given them everything we can. North Carolina, special place, but I think we're going to probably end up giving you an announcement pretty soon. We are doing well in so many ways. You see what's going on with NASDAQ. We just broke another record yesterday.
Oh, did we now?
Some good news came out of
Oh, did we? You don't say. You don't say. We're doing well, are we? Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me do a little lookup. Shall we do that? Shall we do Dow? Hold on. Dow Jones. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Hold on, is that the now? That's the industrial average. Hold on. The Dow 500. There we go. Look at this whole thing. Oh, look at that. Hold on. We'll bring it back. Yeah, it looks great. Looks fantastic today. Look at that. It's looking great. Yeah, that really signs at the tail end of that little drop off right at the end. That shows great confidence in the markets. Great, yeah. Brag, please brag
Federal
more.
Reserve today. I think some very good news. We're really doing a financial comeback. The jobs numbers were fantastic.
Fake.
Now we'll have some other job.
It's another word. It's another F word. Fake. They were fake. They were false. They were falsified. They were faked.
Numbers come.
They were based on a miscalculation you were aware of, but you didn't factor in the miscalculation. So clearly you believe that you could get past everybody by lying. And the markets bought it for a couple of days until they all saw the miscalculation thing, and Powell came out with the real information. And then, like I said, what did I say? Did I not say last week, by the way, guys, that the market was going to take a shit as soon as the reality set in?
Over the next few
I did.
Weeks, and we'll see how
Australia Dow 500, beg your pardon.
that goes. But I
Even still, that's a pretty bad tack.
think it's really good, and we're on our way to a very big comeback. I'd like to ask some of the folks that I'm with.
Hold on. I'll gather that one up so you see the full Dow Jones. Here you go. Dow. Let's see. Here, let's go to CNBC. This is a site that Trump enjoys, right? Oh, this. Here we go. This is the CAG thing. There you go. Worst day since 1987. Yeah, no, we're not signing up for CNBC. Go away. 3,000 points as coronavirus collapse continues. Worst day since 1987. Look at this picture. I like the panic guy. This guy. Oh, I don't know what to do. My goodness, the elves will be so upset. This is what Santa does in his off time. He trims his beard and works on Wall Street. How do you think he finances the rest of the stuff? Dow Jones Industrial Average closed 2,997.1 points lower, or 12% at 20,180 to the 330 stock low. Holy smokes. Oh, that's March 15th. I'm drunk. Hold on. Can't do that. Can't do that to me, CNBC. This was today. News. Give me the news. Stock market live dropped nearly 7%. There you go. That wasn't 12%. Stock market live Thursday. Dow drops nearly 7%. Fear gauge spikes back to bear market? Question mark? Stocks plunge as coronavirus cases spike after some states reopen. Gee whiz. Dow closed 6.9 for its third straight negative day, and its worst since March 16th. Dow closed down 1,861 points for its fourth worst point loss ever. It's down 7.31% to date, on pace for worst week since March 20th. Dow is 37.96 above its March 23rd low of 18,213. S&P closed down 5%. S&P is down 6% week to date, on pace for its worst week since March 20th, which was when the shit hit the fan. They should just say when the shit hit the fan. Best performing sector today was consumer staples, down 3.81%. That was good. They were only down 3.8%. They were the best performing sector. Consumer staples, as in food and shit you need to survive when you shelter in place again. Super good.
Today to say a few words. They've been really supporters and friends of mine. They understand life. They understand, I think, the black...
Life, a magic word, life, that means forever, and that's a mighty long time. Sorry, electric word. Electric word, life, that means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else.
Community better than...
The MAGA world. A world of never-ending bullshit.
Anybody I know, and I will tell you, Ben Carson is an example of exactly what I'm talking about. He's been my friend from the first day we met, I think. And we were opponents, but we were never really opponents. Ben is a very exceptional guy. He's done a fantastic job at HUD. But
again, the placement of him at HUD is just embarrassing.
I'd like to maybe start with Ben to say...
It's like the worst kind of tokenism.
A couple of words and go to Daryl and...
Yeah, sleepy Ben Carson. I always think that's so funny that he calls Joe Biden sleepy, and then cut to Ben Carson. Well, we're trying to... Most important...
The rest of us, let's say a few words to the press, if you would, please, Ben.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. We're here, obviously, to talk about some of the concerns in the black community that have risen to...
Really? That's interesting. Why would I think that, looking at who's gathered at this table and what makes this table so distinct from all the other tables that Donald Trump convenes on stuff? And I think the person tapping is that's like Morse code, like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm getting...
Point that, people all around the world are making their voices heard. This is an opportune time to do something about it, because this administration has already established a record of actually solving problems that other people just talk about and have talked about for many years.
Yeah, the problem of Mexican asylum seekers and their stupid kids.
And I am delighted.
And really making sure the FBI isn't allowed to coordinate cases with the Justice Department.
Mr. President, that you have made it a priority to solve this problem. And we're...
Starting when? Today? When's the last time Trump had a gathering of people at a table that looked like this? Honest to God. Can you think of the last? I mean, there was that big, MAGA gathering of all the black guys in red hats that he had, right, when he met with Kanye, that little chunk a little while ago.
Are going to be helpful.
But you ever seen a listening session like this with women?
With that process, there are many others out there. People of goodwill. There's some who just wait for anything to criticize it. But there are actually some people who actually want to see a solution. And I've had
enough about Ron Wyden.
A chance to talk to many of them. We'll continue to do that, put forth the kinds of programs that actually get people out of poverty, not things that just keep people stable in poverty and happy in poverty.
Guys, that's the problem. We've been keeping these people happy in poverty. They should be miserable in poverty so that they do something with their lives. That's the problem with black people. They've been just too happy being poor. It's the happiness index.
I want to change that whole dynamic.
I don't know what that tapping is. It sounds like a cup.
And I think some of the things that have already been done, we will get back to those quickly. This was an intentional stopping.
Yes, he really did just say happy in poverty.
The economy of an amazing economy the fundamentals.
I know, I heard from Ben Carson that you guys you're happy being poor, and I will keep you poor. What have you got to lose?
That economy are still in place. We will recoup that and we will move further on. And your philosophy, of course, has been that a rising tide floats all boats.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's always worked.
And that's why you don't spend a lot of
Tell that to the other passengers on the Titanic.
time with identity politics. We want.
Yeah, no, there's no signs of identity politics at this table. There's no. And by the way, who is the pastor sitting right over here? Who is he planning on murdering across the table? Because this guy I like a lot. He seems jovial and friendly. The pastor who's sitting right next to Trump looks like he's just totally Tony Montanaing somebody.
You got a problem? Who are you looking at? You looking at me?
Everybody to be successful.
Right.
And we're going to do everything we can to help you do that.
Well, as I've been saying, Ben, I think that the economy next year will be maybe the best it's ever been. You can already see it with the stock market, how it's been going up, because you have a lot of smart people that are betting on exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that kind of changed today, but good luck.
The market is almost as high as it was prior to the plague floating in from China. It was a plague that floated in from China.
Oh, it floated in now. So it came on boats. So shutting flights back and forth had no. Are we back to blaming cruise ships?
Now they're learning that it may have been much earlier, which bears out exactly what I've been saying. You saw that.
No, it isn't. You haven't been saying it was much earlier. And if it was much earlier, why didn't you know?
Word yesterday that it may have come in a lot sooner than we were told.
Really? You weren't told much sooner by me? Because I was talking about this shit in late November and December.
A friend of mine is Daryl Scott.
Oh, this is all going to be my black friend. Everybody's going to be my black friend, is this? Yeah.
And he's a great guy, and he's got a tremendous heart. At the same time, he's a tough cookie.
Was right.
I think that's what maybe attracted me to him, unfortunately.
Well, hello. Maybe it was.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. I didn't get attracted to the good parts, but that's a good part too. Daryl, say a few words, please.
We're here today, and thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to come. Our nation is at a juncture where we're facing another challenge, but this administration has become used to challenges. It's been one challenge after another.
Yeah, caused largely by the stinky head on the fish.
And we've pressed pause, but we're ready to press play now and continue in the positive initiatives regarding the black community. You know, Mr. Trump called me.
You didn't hit pause on the positive initiatives for the black community. They did one thing, and it was stuff Democrats have been fighting for forever.
In November of 2016, right after the election, right after he won, and he said to me, "What do you want?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I mean, you've been working real hard. Is there anything that you want?" And I said, "I want to be a liaison from the black community to the Trump administration and a liaison to the black community from the Trump administration." Since then, we worked on criminal justice reform. We've worked on urban revitalization.
See that? Look, he said it.
Prison reform, a number of initiatives that are
near and dear to Jared's heart since he's going to be in one soon.
To use with a number of initiatives that are proactive towards the black community. And here we are now, and we're facing another challenge, and we're going to come up with some great solutions to these problems that are confronting this country. And I'm just glad to have a seat at the table and to have my input received.
Well, what was that input? You literally, I don't know who's tapping the coffee cup. It's very strange. But in all honesty, he said, "What do you want? What do you want? What change would you like to see?" He's like, "Nah, I'd just like to be a spokesperson."
It's been very important, Daryl. You know that. And it is true. I've known Daryl a long time. He didn't want anything. What he wanted was just to have a voice.
Not for him. You asked him, in theory, unless you were offering him money to be as part of the campaign or something. The way I understood it, and check me, kids, if you think I'm wrong,
He was saying, what is there that I can do for you as a constituent because you were there to help me win election? And Scott's response was, I don't want anything. I just want to be your mouthpiece back and forth between the two groups, like crucial. If they want anything said to the administration, it has to go through me. Doesn't exactly sound like there's a prioritization. And if that happened in November 16, when did the First Step Act get signed or worked on or pushed through? Wasn't that a Kim Kardashian thing?
So he can make certain positions known, and he's done that very well, better than anybody I can think of.
Well, then explain what those positions are. Give us if he explains them so well, then tell us what they are.
Another great voice in the black community is Wayne. Wayne, you've been my friend for a long time.
Wayne, what's his name?
Dupree.
Okay.
His show is a phenomenon. It's a great success, and people listen and they're
great success.
Respect what you have to say. Go ahead, please.
Well, my name is Wayne Dupree.
Hi, Wayne.
President Trump when he was a businessman. As a matter of fact, he's given me 5 interviews, 2 of them in person, 3 on the phone. And when you're talking about somebody who is not with the mainstream media, somebody who just has a small voice but has a desire to make changes with his voice.
Hey, you're invited to CPAC every time.
To reach out to a billionaire in New York and
who's getting 4% of the black vote and wondering if, hey, I'm a black guy, would you like to do an interview on my show because I support you? And shockingly, he said yes.
And he gave me those interviews, and I think he's a natural leader.
He's a natural leader because he recognized a constituency that he was failing with and did any press that came along.
I mean, honestly, I have supported him.
Yeah, and by the way, not a billionaire.
Since he decided.
Whoever you are, if you're listening to this, you have more money than Donald Trump.
Run for president. As a matter of fact, we interviewed him the month before. Right. He came down the escalator and he said, well, Wayne, you know, we're going to have a big announcement next month. And I said, well, you know, you can do it here on the show if you really want to. But I mean, I'm glad that he has changed things here in D.C. I just,
it's on the
my daughters and my son and my family.
I will find it. I'll be done in 10 minutes anyways.
To see
Sorry, we've got family FaceTime at 5, so I'm out in 5 minutes, kids.
Coming from the White House. They want to see.
Thank you, Mexican Kringle.
They also want to see things.
Yeah, it is totally SOS Morse code. Get me the shit out of here. Someone please elect someone who gives a shit.
Change for the better in this country. I know you can do it. I know you can do it.
Based on what? They're about to implode his casino in Atlantic City.
We'll do it, Wayne. Go ahead, please.
My name is Raynard Jackson. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Daryl, for inviting us to this roundtable.
Please go ahead, person who I can't remember and your sign is too far away, and I won't let them use big enough type so that I can see your name from far away because it's embarrassing.
Here, I'm from St. Louis originally, live here in Virginia. But what I'd like to say to you, Mr. President, is kind of off the beaten path. I'd like to say to all the media assembled here that I wish they would quit lying about what you've done specifically for the black community. So you got radical liberal journalists like Joy Reid from MSNBC, Don Lemon from CNN, Roland Martin, who are putting more poison into the black community than any drug dealer, who are killing.
Wow, Joy Reid is putting more poison into the black community than any drug dealer. But I am happy to know that there is no poison, there are no drugs being sold in the black community anymore. It's a good sign. Why do black men allow themselves to be used? As pains me as a black woman. They don't see it as being used. They see it as actually being a part of, you know, the administration. They support what this dude is talking about. Let's we'll hop ahead. I've got to sign off in a couple minutes, but I wanted to pick up a couple more of these sweet moments.
To dissect the Obama economy, let's do it. And I think, Mr. President, your record would win the debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you know, it's interesting you say that, but you go down a list of criminal justice reform and all of the things we've done, opportunity
You mean criminal justice reform, meaning just sentencing?
zones, the best unemployment rate in the history, just before the plague came in.
Or it floated in from China.
And it's going to be back again soon.
I
think it's going to be back again a lot sooner than people think. I think last week was a reflection of that, the jobs numbers. But you look at all of the things
ones?
we've done. We've now worked on prison reform, so important, and so many.
That's the same thing. Like, that's like saying we've done Obamacare and the ACA at the same time. It's a lot of people.
Other things. But when you look at the economics, when you look at how well the black community has been doing under this administration, nobody's done anything like we've done. And a big thing is criminal justice reform. I keep hearing about, oh, criminal justice reform, then everyone's trying to take the credit. And that one, I will say, we will take the full credit because they couldn't have done it without us. And I'm not sure, frankly, that the previous administration tried. They may have, but they certainly couldn't get it.
Thanks, Rob. How are you? I appreciate that.
And the people that came into my office really.
I'm looking at what opportunity zones are listed as, like what it qualifies as. A qualified opportunity zone is an investment vehicle classified as a corporation or a partnership and that was formed for the purpose of investing in, quote, qualified opportunity zone property. At least 90% of the qualified opportunity zone funds assets must be invested in qualified opportunity zone property. Capital gains that are invested in an opportunity zone fund money must be constitute equity, not debt. Capital gains that are invested, okay. Properties in which the fund invests, directly or indirectly, generally must be substantially improved within 30 months or have their original use commence with the opportunity fund in the opportunity zone. So you can just get your money out after 30 months. It just sits there and gains interest, I guess. The fund generally intends to engage in ground-up development or substantially improve an existing property by investing new money into a property in the amount of the original purchase of the property allocable to purchased buildings on the land. And where is this that says this goes to, like, specifically black areas? What?
Asking very nicely for help. These are not people that are supporters of mine. But once we got it, they took the full credit for themselves, and that's okay too. But we got done criminal justice reform and all of the other things.
You keep saying three names for the same shit. What is a qualified opportunity zone? A QOZ is an economically distressed community where new investments under certain conditions may be eligible for preferential tax treatment. Localities qualified as QOZs are, if they have been nominated for that designation by a state, the District of Columbia, or a U.S. territory, and that nomination has been certified by the Secretary of the U.S. Treasury via his delegation of authority to the IRS. How are they created? They are added to the tax code by tax cuts and to the Jobs Act of December 22nd, 2017. Have causes been around for long? No. The first set of QOZ designations covering parts of 18 states were designated in 2018. QOZs have been designated to cover parts of all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 5. What is the purpose of a cause? An economic development tool, that is, they are designed to spur economic development and job creation in distressed communities. None of this has anything to do with minority-owned businesses or is directly related. The state itself can determine if an area it qualifies as a distressed area. And it's a tax break on capital gains.
I think
yes,
that
I have
one
5
of
minutes
the-
left. I have 2 minutes left. I'm going to sign off, guys. I think it's better if I sign off now because then we're going to get carried away in this stuff. I'm going to go do some study on these QOZs. You can bet your ass I'm going to have some interesting information by the next time I see you guys. You're wonderful. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. I will see you guys tomorrow. I got to go run off and do my family FaceTime. So, you found it? Okay, thank you. Well, I'm gonna jump off anyways just to be there. Okay. Appreciate you guys. We will talk to you later on. I also got to gather my kid up and take him to afterwards. He's got to go to ninja camp. Another story for another time. Thanks, guys, for tuning in today. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks, NCIS Doctor Who, for the bits in there. Thanks, Rob Glenn, Georgina Poole, Mexican Kringle, Scooter, Bean Toes, Templeton's are at, as always. Thank you so much. Hal Vickery, good to see you again as well. Benny Loco, make it stop. Exactly. And I missed bits from NCIS Doctor Who, and Carl Jacobson, thank you so much, and Halle Berry, and Amber Lassiter, and Philly Dana, thank you, and Rafael Morano, thanks so much. How much for that glow in the dark? Oh yeah, for the glow in the dark shirt. I need to make one of those for you guys. I will use that 3M tape that makes stuff glow when headlights go on it. That'd be a good way to do it. That way you can jog with it in safety. And again, Michael Anderson and Benny Loco both yesterday super chatted, and I didn't get to say thank you. And I wanted to say that. And again to Christine F. for yesterday's as well. So peace out. See you next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I'll be around. And then Saturday is the radio show.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
See this? This is my boomstick!
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am.
Nobody guarding your potatoes.
Butthole!
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it.